6 in the UK stand with Canada against India after the bombshell allegation that Indian agents killed Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil.
All of this is just circumstantial.
India labeled him a terrorist, but we've seen no proof they ordered the hit. So could India really be behind this? Let's break down how its intelligence agency has changed in a way that changes the probabilities. What do you need to hear for you to believe that it's possible this happened in the way it's been described?
Having known how the Indian agencies work, I believe it is virtually impossible to pin it on them.
Why?
Why? Because even when they conduct certain operations in India's neighborhood, trust me, they've never conducted an operation like this outside the neighborhood.
To assassinate a Canadian here is just not their style and not the region they normally work in. That is the firm belief of the man who wrote the first academic work on India's International Intelligence Agency, the Research and Analysis Wing, or RAW, the entity effectively accused by Canada of murder.
All of this is just circumstantial. This kind of a theory can be built easily. Does India stand to gain if this man is killed? Most certainly, yes. But does that mean that India has done it? I think we need to be looking at a very different kind of evidence for that.
Why the disbelief? Well, partly that's history. Embarrassed by intelligence failures in the 60s war with China, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi formed RAW in 1968. Largely to watch Pakistan and China infiltrate groups, disrupt plans, and protect India's interests. Then in 1993, 257 people were killed in bombings in Mumbai, the attackers hiding in Pakistan. The leaders of RAW were poised to go on the offensive, but word came down from Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao not to show restraint, that killing wasn't the way to go. And that's the crucial and slightly unusual thing to keep in mind about this external intelligence agency. It's only ever answered to one office, that of the Prime Minister. So there's no legislative oversight. And largely, Indian prime ministers have wanted the agency to keep a low profile, operate close to home. But ambitions of prime ministers change, and Narendra Modi is a hawk.
If one starts looking at it analytically, I would also say that there is some evidence, broadly speaking, of a shift in India's approach to use of force in international politics.
This is Yogesh Joshi from the National University of Singapore. He sees clear shifts that make it possible Nijjar's killing, even as far afield as Canada, was a hit by Indian intelligence. He sees that there's now political license for it. Modi has increased funding for the agency. His national security advisor is a former spy. And at the UN, India's ambassador advocated for crushing what it sees as terrorism internationally. Moves popular at home.
Over a period of time, there has been a greater public support for use of force against terrorists, or what India calls anti-national elements or terrorists, right? And this political support comes from the fact that it has been a target of terrorism and anti-state violence.
In a ranking of 22 global leaders, Modi is already viewed as the most popular. Numbers that have even increased in the days since Canada's accusations. That matters for Modi. National elections are less than a year away.
When you look at Modi's domestic politics, he has nothing to lose. In fact, unlike Trudeau, his domestic ratings received higher approval. He has no domestic base in the state of Punjab. But even within Punjab, the recent Pew Research survey basically shows that the Sikh community within Punjab doesn't really share the sentiments of Sikh separatists in the diaspora.
So the question still hangs. Could this killing represent a new, stronger, more menacing approach from Indian intelligence? Evidence is unlikely to ever become public. National security just doesn't work like that. And for all the anger in India at Canada's words, it certainly seems like at home, the accusation doesn't hurt Modi at all.